Axons Unleashed.
G'day everyone, my name's Robbie. I'm here with Dane and Tamara. This is a season 2 wrap-up. This is episode 9 of Axons Unleashed.
Yo!
How you doing? G'day.
Good.
Good to be here. What an amazing accomplishment for us. We've finished 2 seasons of a podcast.
Like a freight train.
Now, interestingly, ladies and gents, that you would all know that Dane wasn't with us for the whole of season 2 because myself, Dan and Tamara had a special guest every time. So, yeah, I guess...
Lost my phone number then during that time. But
It's actually funny because I've spoken to heaps of clients, as I'm sure you have as well, by, how's things going with the podcast, this. And everyone without fail's like, where's Dane? Dane's actually really cool to listen to. So I suppose you have had the opportunity to listen to all the podcasts. So now it would have been an opportunity for you to listen to us interview other people, but you weren't involved like you normally are. So now I suppose Tamara and I are really keen on getting your insights into, what did you find out about
As a listener.
everything? Yeah.
well, yes, as a punter, just an everyday subscriber I was. And I was like, Robbie, keep the seat warm for me down there. But I actually, because I know everyone on a professional level, of
course,
who you guys had come in, and obviously the stakeholders are so important to us, like our support and making sure that the experience our clients have with them is also top notch, like because we're all supporting each other and it's the whole journey, right? They are stakeholders from that perspective.
I actually spoke about that in episode 7 with Angie when I was talking about how important it is for the whole journey. Like if there's one point in the whole journey that railroad, the train gets off the tracks, then, the whole thing can come undone, and that's nothing we've done in particular. They can have a great experience with us, but if it's one of our partners and their experience is not 1000% the Axon way or the best experience, then it can damage us all.
And it's generally towards the end of the build. Like you get your insurances at the end of the build. You find a tenant at the end of the build. You get the building inspector at the end of the build. You do your tax return at the end of the build. So all those, that's the taste that's left in one's mouth. As you said, Tammy, they can have an amazing coaching and finance and property strategy perspective, and we go find an amazing property for them, and the build can go super smooth.
Yep.
But if they don't get that shit sorted out the back end, that's what the sort of the taste of the mouth is going to be. So, it's how to just give us a bit of a For full disclosure, ladies and gents, we have not prepared for this at all, and I love doing it. And every single week we do a live Q&A, so it's a little bit different now. We don't need to hold an audience. We're just sort of having a chat with ourselves. What were some of the sort of highlights? We are going to go through each of the sort of episodes, and I'm keen on getting your insights there. But did you find out one thing about one person you had no idea about that you're now really happy that you've got that under your belt?
Oh, well, it is actually the stuff that sort of stood out to me was all the personal stuff, like how everyone got to Axon
Work
in
with
a
us.
way. Yeah. And I was sort of saying to Robbie this morning, actually, I was like, I didn't know Shay had gone and done a marketing degree and then pretty much got like, hey, you got to come back over to Malaysia and get straightened out and go back again. All that sort of stuff that you just don't hear because all it is, it's always very much
Personal behind the scenes stories.
And how they got there. And she said she was doing very much elementary sort of stuff at the start, and one of the other conveyancers, had said like, it sounds like a lot of hard work with it, and she's like, I'll do it, and which I really really like because that's motivation to me when you hear someone doing that. Like, okay, man, if you don't want to do it, I will. And then look how far she's gone. She's amazing.
She's catapulted into her business, into her industry, promotions because she put her hand up. She wanted to take on that extra work, and I guess it is a bit of extra work, but doing the Axon way, because we are very procedure driven. We're very process focused. Everyone follows the bouncing ball along our process, and people aren't used to that, especially other industry professionals out there. They have their own way, and sometimes it's not the best way.
Yeah.
It's certainly something you and I speak about during the coaching when we're having that first initial chat and we're explaining the business model. Going to do this, and this. So I sort of sit back and go, hey, Peter and Paul, for instance, how does it now make you feel that there is now a synchronized step-by-step business model? You are going to speak to different people along the way, but I guess there's a checklist involved for everyone and everything, and nothing's going to be missed. And they're just like back in their chair going,
Love
This
it.
is gold.
I love it.
So which is good. That's the whole reason why, we provide that service to everyone.
I think it's a testament to you both, though, right? Like you have, and I know, Robbie, you got to be, mate, this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be my twilight years, is continual professional development, but also quality assurance. Like I know you guys have and you've built that in not only like internally with Axon, but also everyone along that journey. That
All of our partners.
Yeah, that they have that where they're like, mate, when that client comes across their desk, they're like, oh, this is an Axon client, like top-notch sort of stuff. And that's something you guys are really fostered. And I know, I might have picked up when we were talking about Shay. Actually, you did talk about that. Like she wasn't the first conveyancer. That's right. So you've had your sort of like, we're going to try and find the right people, right? And it takes time.
Someone got voted off the island for her to come on the island, and that's okay. Because sometimes you don't realise how good or bad someone is until someone good or bad's been in your life. You just don't have that.
Well, we even did the same with our business accountant. In the early years, we went through a couple just to find the right fit and the people that work for us and understand, what we're trying to achieve and not, make us go through excessive amounts of hoops and stuff that wasn't a fit for us because they didn't understand what we were trying to achieve. They didn't take the time to listen to us and really understand our business. Whereas now we have Jace and that's all he wants to know is like, how can we go to what you guys want to achieve,
And Tamara, you always say it great. I always love this when you go, if they're not a fit, that's okay.
Yeah.
We don't want to stop them and try and make them something they're not. If they want to like live their best life doing something else, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's not about trying to force that square peg into a round hole. That's not what we're here to do. But once you do find, the cream rises to the top. But once you do find those key stakeholders who give a fuck and give a damn about the clients and wear their heart on their sleeve, like it's a no-brainer.
That's the technical term for care.
Yeah. Yeah. That's only my first one. I'm going to keep it at that.
Just to rehash, actually, we just sort of spoke about the other key stakeholders, but we actually started this season with two of our very own. We started with our amazing ex-dog handler, Dave Simpson, with his story about Sabi over in Afghanistan, the missing dog for, was it 15 months?
Yep. 15 months,
Yeah. What a recall.
And like you said, kicking off with two internal, I guess, key sort of, you always talk about the key players, and you guys have such a long relationship with Jane and also Simo, right? So how did you find that they went when you sat down and actually said, tell us how you got to be, involved with us and be sitting here today?
I absolutely loved when we were filming Dave's story about Sabi, we had the marketing team sitting in the background and the jaws were just wide open and they were just sitting there like, holy shit, we had no idea that the story was that in depth. Like they'd heard about it and they knew the sort of topic and the overall sort of sentiment, but especially Noah, like she was nearly in tears.
Because he's a quiet, unassuming, humble guy.
Very.
Get him on the piss, he's a different person. But in he's like 99% of the day, the day-to-day, week-to-week stuff. Dave doesn't tell the story. Like you'd never ever know that the bravery and the commitment and determination that guy had and did and does, even exists there. So it would have been a great insight for everybody.
And that episode could have just kept on going. Like we were pretty. It was one of our longer episodes. And I feel like there could have been a part 2 as well with the amount of stuff that he covered and could have covered. Oh, it's so amazing.
That's the part 2 we get when he's on the couch.
Yeah, he is, and like you said, he's very unassuming.
Yeah.
When I first met him, I was like, is this guy British? Where's his top hat? Why is he talking like that? And then and once I did, get some liquid courage with him. And he told me that story and I was like, oh man. And we were out and we were at the famous Moo Moos at the time. And I remember just looking over the table as he told me this story. I'm like, this guy? The property pack guy? What the hell's going on here? I can't believe the story's coming out of his mouth. This guy's like a G.I. Joe. He's an action hero. This is crazy. So, yeah, it is like you said, he's very unassuming with it, which is great. And that's why people really warm to him as well. So.
And then, we had with Jane, and I guess even just the rubbish that comes out of her mouth within 2 seconds, I'm like, okay, she's dropped a swear word within 30 seconds. But she was so authentic, and that's just so beautifully Jane. She just was raw and real and open and honest and shared so much of her experience, and I just thought she handled it like an absolute champion. Like, just to throw her in that spot. She was nervous before we went on, and then and she's done it before in our live Q&As on Facebook. She just absolutely embraces it and just gets on there, and you see her at the end and she's on such a buzz. She's so high from it.
But she did such a good job on there. So I spoke to some amazing clients last night that I've been mentoring for the last 12 months. These clients came to us, 30 grand in debt, terrible money habits, shit old property up in bloody Gympie. They're now selling that property. They're going to walk away with 100 odd so grand. They're going to be completely out of debt by the end of it. And when I was talking to her about the amazing support they're going to get from the build support team, she's like, and that lady Jane, I've seen her on the podcast and the live Q&As. Can she be on our team? So people have now seen her and heard her and got to know her. They're now electing her to be honest. Well, Jane doesn't really coach. She manages the build support team. She doesn't really provide that service anymore because she's got 3 other amazing ladies working for her. But I said, you know what, Bettina? If you're now specifically asking for her, I'm sure she'd be honoured to be your build support manager.
Absolutely.
So kudos to her for now providing someone that sort of peace of mind, just purely based on being raw and real and telling her story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, when she spoke about it, she talked about, obviously you guys have it. You're very happy with Jane. There's no secret with that. And she's very, 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 very good at her job.
Oh, yeah.
But she's also, and she's got a bit of the, I call it the client drug. And I know Robbie's got it. He's got it, man. He's like, I'll never stop coaching. I don't care what I have. I always have a bit of coaching. Yeah. And I get it too, because just it is an adrenaline rush. And she was saying to me as well, she's like, even though I know I need to be able to be in a position where I'm there for spot fires, I manage the more of the difficult situations and so on and so forth. She goes, I still don't want to lose that feeling you get when you have people.
The connection. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I think that's so important though, and that's why we'll never stop Robbie from doing coaching and for team leaders, same as Dave. He's now running the property specialist teams, but we still want him on the tools. That is your connection, and it keeps you grounded. It keeps you having that connection with clients, with your team members, understanding the processes, realizing the challenges that the team are going through, the roadblocks, all of that. So.
Commonly known as dipping the nose in the trough every now and then.
You've summed it up.
In an analogy.
Oh, mate, I love it.
You've summed it up really well before, though, Robbie. Hey, you've said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like,
I will.
I never want to be in a position where I disconnect from my community.
Yeah, that's right. Of course.
And you find coaching does that. Which talks about our community, and they love Deb. That was probably one of my favourite episodes.
Everyone loves Deb.
And talk about someone that was nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And she always says that, but she does so well every time.
I know.
It was
the
like
same
10
as Shay,
a.m.
actually.
She's like, I feel like I need to have a wine before I do this. I'm like, well,
same
you're not.
with-
It's too early.
That was the same as Shay. She's like, bring me vodka.
Plenty upstairs. Bring it straight down. But one I had a laugh about was actually when she said a girlfriend rang her up and said, who's that man on your left shoulder? And it was Dan. Yeah. Thought they were a couple. I was like, maybe one day. Who knows?
He looks like one of your ex-boyfriends.
Yeah. How'd you find that though? Like, once again.
Oh, I love Deb, and I just think the passion that she is able to give to her clients, like she absolutely takes people under her wing, and I don't know, she's just like that mama bear to everyone. She's got a nickname with many of our clients as Mama Deb, and she just is that real motherly figure to them and embraces them no matter the challenge. If they're, going through a bit of finance hell, then she's there to really support them, and she's very experienced with such a wide variety of different challenges that she seems to be able to make the most unachievable things happen. So
she rides the highs and lows like no one I've ever seen. Literally, she's going to hate me from saying this, but I'll fucking tell everyone anyway. I called her not last week, the week before. Now we're talking to you on the 29th of June. And I'm like, hey, baby, how you going? How's everything going? She goes, I've just had such a terrible week. I'm like, what's up? She's like, the banks are taking so long to do evaluations and they're asking silly questions and I've lodged a deal 3 weeks ago and it still hasn't been picked up by anyone. She started crying on the phone, mate. Yeah. Like she literally lives and breathes and she has such a drive and determination to get the best finance outcome for all of our clients, her clients, the clients. I was just like, right, I'm dropping everything. I'm going to come and see you and Kylie and Kira tomorrow. I'll take you girls out for lunch. Let's just all hang out and just, sort of sort of get together and sort of
Calm
connect
down.
again.
Reset.
Calm down, that's what I say to you all the time, babe. But yes, I loved it that you talk about the passion and the connection and the loves of what we do for our clients, but trying to get the deal over the line from a finance perspective is always the hardest bit, and they're just getting punished at the moment from the banks. Like, even though borrowing money's never been so cheap from an interest rate perspective, the level of scrutiny being placed on everyone's never been so high. So they're just they're in the trenches fighting away, hand-to-hand combat with the bloody BDMs and the credit managers and everything at the bank, and then requesting updated pay slips and, just going, getting everything but the client's DNA. And she's got 14, 15, 16 deals on the go at any one time, and all of them have got their little nuances and being a bit tricky. Yeah, she really, really, rides the highs and lows as far as that goes. So kudos to her to be able to get through it, quite frankly.
And you guys have known her for quite a while too.
Seven or 8 years now.
Pre-Axon as well.
Yeah,
So
pre-Axon.
That's a long relationship in
Yeah.
business, and also you guys have a personal relationship with her as well.
Oh, of
have
course.
become quite good friends.
Yeah, very
and
good friends.
It's been beautiful to actually watch her. So she was working for someone else, and then people work with people, and we really loved working with her. So we've followed her through a couple of mergers with previous companies, and then her actually going out on her own, which we were telling her to do that for a couple of years, and she was a bit scared for a while, and she took the plunge last year, and she's done so well, and we're so proud of her. She's just really embraced the business owner life, and now has her staff members,
So
and
good. So good.
going great.
Yeah.
Which brings on to, and probably once again, like I said, I love Deb, but I've worked a lot with Shay as well. So I
So
sort of spoke at the
conveyancing
front.
solicitor.
Yeah, and once again, another. And I always sort of wonder a little bit. I'm like, when are their finish times? Because if I message Deb or I call Shay or anything like that, and I get mindful, I'm like, oh, well, it's Friday night. But I always,
So you're talking about business hours finishing times.
Never.
Right.
Yeah, they just don't seem to. And I say, oh, look, I'm so sorry.
They don't stop.
Yeah, I'm just like, I thought it was, I'm just stuck in my own world. It can wait till Monday. But I always get the reply.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, I couldn't wait till then. I'm like, I get it.
They get excited too. It's
Yeah.
it's so lovely.
But she has some amazing insights as well. And obviously, like you said at the start there, RT, that you did vote someone off the island at the start. And then you came about through Ramsden, and you're quite good friends with John, and then coming in with Shay being in the conveyancer. So how did you guys feel when you went through that episode?
She was so funny at the start. She was so nervous. She was even messaging me the night before, like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. And I put some water in front of her. She's like, is that vodka? I'm like, no, it's not. You're fine. But you know what? By the end of it, she was there chatting away, and she was all good. So
Like, it's one of those things. It's interesting to see people that are a little bit
Vulnerable.
scared and stuff when they sort of first start. But I don't mind that, because I know that they care and they want to come in and provide the right level of information and just have that chat, so you pass on the value. So, I still get a little bit nervous before we do some of the live Q&As. I just come straight, a little tiny bit, only
A little bit.
It's getting less.
Yeah.
I don't anymore. That's good. But I don't watch them back either.
Me neither.
I don't ever watch any or listen to podcasts back either.
Every now and then I have, and I do have a bit of a chuckle of the shit that comes out of my mouth, and I'm like, where the fuck was I? And you like do the little lawnmower. So those now watching on YouTube are like, vroom, vroom.
Oh, yeah. Here he goes.
It's like, you just
That's
sit
probably
back
why
and
I
hang on.
don't listen back. I'm like, oh,
You can always
God.
tell in that, how we jump on and we have that little bit in the waiting room beforehand.
Oh yeah,
If
you
it's
can
gonna be
tell
a
if
lo-
he's on.
Yeah, it's a lawnmower or not.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll go get a
You're
seat.
like,
I'll take a seat.
I'll just strap in and lean my chair back.
If you want to see me living my best life, go back and watch some of those episodes of me
Yeah.
just teeing off on fuck knows what. But I'm having
That's
a
on
lot
our
of fun.
Facebook page,
And it's
Axon
just-
Property Group on
And
Facebook
it's
on a
just
Wednesday night at
everything.
6:30 Australian Standard Time.
Plenty more to come.
Eastern
We've been
Time.
doing it for over a year now. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a real flagship activity of ours. Like, we get 30, 40 people that are literally there every single Wednesday night without fail. So yeah, it's a really great
And we
event.
just had, I think last week was Jace, who
Yes.
also
Yes.
featured on the podcast, and he jumped on the Q&A as well.
Yeah, we actually released some tax checklists for our ADF members, as well as property investment checklists for our investors, and just some general sort of tax checklists that you can go through and make sure you've got everything covered for tax time, as well as preparing for the year ahead. So a lot of the stuff that Jace talks about, it's no good planning your end of year tax return in June and trying to make it work for
Which
you.
is tomorrow for us.
But being able to plan it from the 1st of July for the following year, you can put some really strategic things in place to make sure you get the best tax return. So he was absolutely awesome. You could see him just buzzing by the end of
He loves
it.
numbers. Like we're so fired up about putting a strategy together, finding awesome properties for our clients, introducing them to all the sort of key players as we're just going through now. But he loves the numbers. Like he's, as an accountant, like he's literally just lived his world in the number space. But you found out something interesting about Jace, which I know now makes sort of you guys, pull a little bit closer together.
Yeah, he was a Toowoomba boy, which
Yeah.
off the podcast.
I thought you were going to say surfing.
I already knew that.
Oh. Both love surfing.
Mate,
Yeah.
a surfer knows a surfer when they
Oh,
see
right.
it. Like you can just
Okay.
see it in their eyes.
But he had a no. He said because he went to USQ, which is up in Toowoomba, and I played footy up there for a little bit after school, ironically for USQ. So and that's what I mean. A lot of stuff I sort of found out about people throughout this whole season was personal stuff, personal things like their motivations, where they've been, how they got here. Whereas when they go and I pretty much sat back on that Q&A with Jace. And I just went I was about to message you, go like, man, I want to be a punter for this one.
Yeah.
I don't want,
The amount of questions that came through, there was
always.
so much interest.
And you did many years as a financial planner, and your dad's been very so you grew up in that sort of that world. So to hear him talk about all that sort of stuff would have been second nature.
1 hour of free consultation time. That's what I was saying to Dan the other week.
Good.
I was like, if you want to go see, so the accountant I see, $600 an hour or something crazy. Jace, here I come. But to have 1 hour with an SME in the field, and you can say anything to them, is gold. Like I would be, if it was the other way around, I'd be like, and this, can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about that? Is this changing? Whatever. But one of the things, he double hats as a financial planner as well.
Yes.
Which is unique.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So he spoke about when I talk about tax, it's the past.
Yeah.
It's what has happened, but also want to talk about the future as well. And I know you guys definitely tap into that with him, looking at how you guys are going to plan
Your
out.
wealth, your way. I literally just finished coaching a client this morning, and they're like, "And oh, by the way, I've got to make sure I go speak to Jace because he's in like me in his late 40s." And this is what I say to all of our clients about my age. Here's the thing: every next step that we take from a financial perspective, it needs to be carefully curated. It needs to be low risk, but it also needs to be able to provide you a great return. Because here's the thing: we don't have time to unfuck a mistake. Like you can't buy a property and realise in 3 or 4 years it's the wrong one, and then go and try and sell it because you've just wasted 5 years. When then you're in your mid 50s. So just, we're like trying to chase time as far as that goes. So I'm like, make sure you get in contact with Jason, do that software modelling program where you can virtually have a bit of a virtual crystal ball and look into the future to make sure that these 2 properties that you are buying with us are going to give you, yourself and your missus the right sort of financial freedom when you don't want to work anymore.
And you guys both spoke about it in that that episode. We talk about time, and we always talk about as well, property investors don't just buy property, they buy time, and I've got a few little 1%ers I throw in there. Procrastination is the biggest thief of time. No matter how much money you ever fucking make, it's never ever bought 1 second of time, right? Yeah. So timing is everything, and Jay spoke about that as well when he talked about it. And I know you sort of touched on it there, Tam. He's like, well, if it takes you 1 more year to start, because you can't, it's actually 1 year at the end where the compound interest and where the growth is at its maximum that you're actually reducing.
You're losing.
Yeah. So we start now, like there's, and it might just be planning.
I think he called it the boring part of the wealth creation curve, and that's the start.
Yeah.
But it very, very, it grows exponentially once you sort of get a little bit of momentum going there.
And even though that side of things, it obviously works better as a graphic and a very, visual sort of thing when he can explain, this is the graph and this is the difference between starting now and if you start later and that kind of thing. He was really able to put that into on the podcast, able to put it into words that really translated well to listening.
Yeah. So they have a, I think with when we sort of talk about that, it's very much mindset based, and we always talk about you've got to have the mindset's the first thing. So it might not be like going, oh look, I've got to go off and I need to get a property, I need to get it now. Or it might be the decision you go, all right, I'm going to start saving. You might not have, and to me that's you started there because it all forms part of that journey that you need to do, and that's the decision you make, and then you'll reap the rewards on the back end. So I loved it when he was talking about that. It's not always just about your tax return. you know, because that's backward thinking. But we need to talk about how you're going to look in retirement.
No one ever got rich by saving money, and no one ever got rich by just trying to save tax as well.
Absolutely.
It's all about making money and being, having that sort of real wealth creation there.
Was it? How many millionaires do you know from savings accounts?
Yeah, that's right.
Donuts.
So, having said that, though, it's all good to have our forward planning, and we got our numbers make sense. We've got all the intent, but making sure that we're adequately insured as well.
And protected.
Yes, Jason.
Yep. So when Jason came in, and I know people might, and I'm sorry, Jason, to say this, but people might just go like, "Oh, yeah, insurance it's boring," and I just get it, you know. But it is so essential. Like we're not buying a pair of shoes.
So just so people are clear, now we're not talking about Jace, the financial planner. This is Jason from insurance.
Yes, sorry, I'll transition.
Different
Jason.
Right.
Keep it Jason.
Right, now we're talking about insurance.
Jace is born a Jace, Jace, the accountant.
Yeah. I'll call him Insurance Jason. How's that? Insurance Jason.
I'm sure he'll be happy with it. He's probably not going to listen to this.
How'd you find that one, though? That was
good. I agree. Like, it's so important to be insured. You see, even... we saw a current affair or something of someone that had bought an investment property in some really dodgy low-income area and dual lock, and remember, and the first thing we saw is they said at the end, and there's $20,000 worth of damage and the owner was not insured.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, we just did a podcast about that. So having the appropriate level of building and landlord's insurances in place. Like I ask all of our clients,
devastating. It really is devastating.
There's two types of insurances that you need to have in place. They're like, oh well, I think you've got to like get the building insured. I'm like, yeah, absolutely you do. So what's the other sort?
Contents?
What? Have you got it? Oh, nice.
I'm like, well, what are you called? You're the landlord, right? So you need to have a landlord's insurance policy in place. What if your tenant does the runner? What if your tenant wrecks the joint? Yeah. You know, what if your tenant
malicious damage?
Yeah, what
or
if your tenant has a bloody party and one of his punter mates fucking slips over out the back and breaks his neck? You know, you need to have that public liability because it's in a building that you own. And they're just like, oh, we had no idea about this. I'm like, well, that's why I'm coaching you to tell you all these. Like, and people are like, oh my God, like, you know, literally finding out answers to questions they didn't even know they had. I said, rest assured, we're going to put you in touch with an awesome insurance broker. They'll go and get 3 different quotes with you. They'll explain all the pros and cons. You can then choose a level of cover, and away you go. And they're like, awesome. That's exactly what we need. So yes, so Jace was able to explain that really well.
And it's really, I think, pivotal. And one of the beauties with Deb, right, is that we have, she's a mortgage broker, access to 65 different lenders. Another thing, using an insurance broker, because one of my bugbears, I'm going to throw it out there,
go on,
is people who nickel and dime on the premium. Grasshopper, your name's not being mentioned, but if you nickel and dime,
$20 is $20. I know, but not in this instance.
Are we still talking about insurance? No.
Yeah.
So, but if you do not have the adequate insurance for your investment, the fuck's the point of getting it?
Sure as shit, Murphy's Law is going to strike, and that one little thing you were fucking trying to save a few dollars on, that's the thing that's going to issue you. And guess what? You won't be insured either for that one little thing. It's just have the full comprehensive cover.
I actually had to rely on my insurance last year. I had a storm for my property in my terrible investment in Cairns.
Which is on the market for sale.
It is. But last year, storm damage, and then the body corporate didn't fix it in time. Roof damage, it went mouldy, tenant left. Loss of rent. So... yeah, had to rely on my insurance, but thankfully I was all insured. Got all my rent paid for during the time that it was unoccupiable, and happy days. So just goes to show, like, just it doesn't have to just be because of the tenant. It can be for a wide range of reasons that you need to rely on that.
I think too, with people, they always have that. It won't happen to me. It's all right. Fuck, that seems expensive. And I'm just like, yeah, but what if it does? Because it does happen to people, or else these places wouldn't even exist.
The famous saying, that won't happen to me. Sure as shit, that's going to happen to you.
It's going to happen to you. Yeah. So it's not only just sort of ensuring your building right, you also need to make sure that you're getting a good tenant as well. So I love her. Sorry, Luke. If you're out there listening to this, mate.
So this is the transition into the next person we spoke to.
The next person,
Angie.
The lovely Angie, who once again, you guys have built a great relationship with and become friends as well over time. And Robbie always says, mate, a property manager, it's a pretty thankless job.
Yeah.
I get it, but they're so important.
Oh, you can tell the ones that really love it. Like the people that really love it should really stay in there, because there's such a difference between the people that it's just a job, whereas the people that love being a property manager, they're really good at that job.
Yeah.
But isn't Angie just like that little beaming ray of sunshine? She's just
she's
so
like the
bright and happy, and I love her energy.
Regional manager for Little Real Estate, and certainly she's been the property manager for mine and Tamara's portfolio as well, and we've known each other for a long time. So she's just an absolute bloody superstar.
Yeah.
So it was, it's good to have someone else. Like Jace loves talking about the numbers. Jason loves talking about insurances. Angie sure as shit loves talking about, getting the right tenant, buying in the right area, having those routine inspections and, providing the tenant, so providing the landlord that ultimate level of surety that everything's being taken care of. So, it's funny what lights people's tires. Like, it's plain and simple for me. I love helping people out from a strategy and, macro sort of outline perspective. But those little tiny things that are all still part of the plan, I'm so proud that we've met these other people that love it, because I don't fucking love that stuff, but that's not my job. That's their job, which is good.
So,
And the final one.
well, yes. Nigel and Erica from iBuild.
Yeah.
Yep.
The building inspections.
Talking about reducing risk, there's no fucking way. First of all, you want to be able to build a brand new house to make sure that your $4, $5, $6, $700,000, asset that you're buying is now been built correctly, up to all the the right level of quality, the right level of assurances, the right level of standards, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, not my 35-year-old property in Cairns.
Yeah, it's just let's
Love
tell
that
that
one.
story quickly. You bought an older property.
Yes, my
that
first one.
Then
Same.
discovered
First
that we
one.
had something wrong with it, and just tell that story quickly. But
Yeah, I'll put my shame out on the podcast.
Go
No,
on.
No, it isn't shame.
Mine's
It's not.
always
it's
up.
learning.
It's a cautionary tale, mate, which is
So
perfect
was
for
it,
everybody.
and Jace, Your Wealth Corporation. Sorry, I'm not trying to talk about the insurance guy at the moment. Jason, Conor McGregor says you win or you learn, and I learned from that one. So what I learned from that is I bought an older property, go through, did the standard sort of stuff. You have 7 days building and pest, 21 days finance, and you get an existing property. The waterproofing had subsided in the bathroom, but because it was untenanted, it didn't get picked up by that little where they're trying to find any water
the
ingress
water
or anything.
links, yeah.
So that's it's all good. Anyway, showers. What the fuck is going on downstairs? Floorboards are wet. What the hell? Water ingress. Call the guy up and he goes, "Oh mate, I couldn't see it." Disclaimer in the back, and then suddenly I'm like, "Well, the whole bathroom's got to come out."
Because you're looking to nail someone's ass against the wall here. You've now bought a
Standard ops.
property that it wasn't. That's
Whose
right.
ass can I nail?
The last person you're looking to is the person in the mirror. You now want to have
Me,
someone
mate.
to blame for this.
It was me. In the end, I was the guy, right? Like I tried that. I was like, "Oh, mate, well, you didn't pick this up." And he goes, read it and weep, mate.
Yep. You've now bought a second-hand property.
And
Sorry.
I was the guy that was stuck there, and I was like, fuck. And that's why one thing when we're going and you're building and you have a building inspector going out to making sure everything complies, or your defect reports are rectified and so on and so forth, and we've got the builder on the hook, it's a no-brainer that you would do that. You don't want to go through, because I'm there going, oh, sweet, I want to get that same bathroom again. It's going to cost me another 25 grand, right? And that's got to be swallowed up by capital growth. And it's just all that sort of stuff. And I just went, I've made it. I've learned.
Yes.
I learned from that. So
Me too. My 35-year-old Cairns townhouse is that was my very first property in my 20s, and yeah, would I buy that now that I have the knowledge that I have now? Hell no.
yeah.
I mean, it's done its fair share of things. It's actually rents really well, but it's always got something wrong with it.
Yeah.
Always something wrong.
And it's on the elevator, right, out the front door at the moment. So it
Just
should be gone.
literally, we're just waiting for the next email to come in from the property manager going, maintenance request, maintenance request,
Yeah.
maintenance request. And guess what that means? Money out the door,
Yeah.
money out the door,
Yeah.
money out the door.
So yeah, tenant's about to move out and it's going up for
Beautiful.
sale. So.
Beautiful. So I guess, we had quite I won't say rap sheet, but just season 2.
Oh.
If you guys are going to wrap it up in one sort of, quick, burst or word or whatever you got, what?
Superstars. We had
Superstars?
some absolute freaking superstars on, and I just feel that we were able to showcase everyone's unique sort of talents and just what they're so passionate about doing and talking about. I loved it.
Yeah.
Mine's
What
an
about you,
S
RT?
word as well.
Ooh.
Couple of hyphens put in there. Skin in the game.
Yep.
You guys would have heard me talk about this before. So Debbie's my mortgage broker. Jace is my accountant. Shay's my solicitor. Angie does all of our property management. I use Jason Matey. I use, and we're going to use Erica and Nigel from my build, during our brand new build. If I, as the owner of Axon, provide people inspiration and I provide them peace of mind about how to be successful in the property market, guess what? These are my A team. It's my superstars that myself and Tamara have now met, and we've now weeded out the other people in the industry to provide everyone the absolute best service providers. So yeah, I don't think I can provide any more peace of mind or skin in the game to say it's not as if I'm using the A grade, you then use the B grade. Everyone you guys get access to. It's not just me that uses it. Everyone else in the business. So when you bought your property,
Mate,
who did the finance?
Dad.
Who did
Shay.
Shay?
Mate, it's just I wouldn't even think to go to anybody else. It wouldn't even come to my brain. I just shovel it over. Hey, let's get this done.
So I think it would be great if listeners could let us know about what they want to hear in season 3. Like, we're about to start planning that, and people are going to hear, and we can absolutely make tweaks as we go if we hear what people want to hear. So, yeah.
I guess we've got the main pillars of Axons Unleashed is all about ADF transition, how to be successful in the property market, how to be a veteran entrepreneur and a sort of business owner there, how to communicate more effectively with your partner, and of course what's going on in the sort of property space. So
absolutely, I'm really looking forward to season 3, to be honest, because I feel like in season 1 came like the real core of Axon, how it came about, how it was built. And I know you guys said it was some testing times to go through that, but now you got through there, and then the people that you brought with you in season 2. How do we all work together? It's a journey. It's a collective environment, and it's the culture, and that's why people come in. And I know one of the things, and Tam, you always talk about it, which is great, is not always about just securing people's financial future, right, in the ADF, but a sense of community as well. I know you're a massive advocate for that. With a lot of foundation stuff, we do a lot of stuff with Soldier On and so on and so forth. Where we get out there and we try and support people because it's also their welfare, not just their financial welfare, but people's mental states. They move around the country, disconnect from environments, communities, and so on. To try and bring that in, we have a very strong core of followers now. So I was talking to one of our clients who's a massive fan, which he went down and you stay with in Canberra, and I was saying something to him. He's like, "Oh, mate, I'll just call Auntie Deb about it." And I was like, "Yeah, man, if you want to go your hardest, that's fine."
Yeah, definitely creating that community, and just where our Axon members can sort of connect with other like-minded people. They're going through the same thing. They talk the same talk. They're going on very similar journeys, and it's not the same as other civilians. So it's good to connect.
So season 3, I feel will be the sort of open slather, funny stories, stuff from the trenches.
More interesting personalities actually that other people wouldn't have met.
Yeah.
So it's been great so far that now people have understood the evolution of Axon, and now they're listening to Deb and listening to Shay and listening to Jace, et cetera, et cetera. But now actually, ladies and gents, we're going to bring in some other people that, many of you would have not met before, but they're going to have more cautionary tales and more stories of hardship and more stories of success, just to, give you guys, some real great information and sort of confidence there about not if, but when you transition from the military, you can be a successful team player in your new workplace. You can be a successful veteran entrepreneur from a business owner perspective. You can be a decent partner who's not in the shit with your missus or your husband, every day.
Are you still learning
like
that one?
I am, right? But I guess it's all about us being raw and real. You can see we're very no bullshit. We're very upfront here. Thank you so much for everyone's awesome feedback so far on what season 1 and season 2 has been all about. And Dane, Tammy, thank you for joining me, and we'll be back again next season.
All right,
that's a wrap. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's podcast. If you enjoyed listening, make sure you give us a 5-star rating, hit subscribe so you'll be first in line to get it in your inbox every week on a Tuesday. Whilst you're at it, open up your favourite social media app, be that Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and YouTube, and connect with Axon Property Group. This is where you'll see us every day sharing the secrets of creating multi-million-dollar property portfolios and performing to the highest levels of your life. You'll get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to what it really takes to build a life that you love. You'll also discover how to secure your financial future as an ADF member or veteran, and I assure you your future self will love you for it. Thanks again for listening, and that's a wrap.